Okay. Okay, Steve, you have to stand there all night. Okay, so I got the tailstock just for a bit of support. One of the things that Andre talked about was using bowl gouge like a skew on the inside here, just to peel and dive deep into like that. So he would take the tool and then he would rub this large bevel and just start peeling away at that center stuff. I'm just going to take that right off. It's going to be in the way. So we'll try this back cutting. When Richard Raffin does, he does it with a spindle gouge. He does it with a spindle gouge that's kind of shaped like this. That's not it. Did I not bring it? Oh, there it is. There it is. So it's rather a fingernail grind with this might be a little steep bevel, too steep for what he was using, but it's basically a fingernail grind like that Raffin uses as a spindle gouge. It's a fairly shallow flute. What Andre Martel did is using a fairly blunt 60 degree, this is around 55, 60, close to there, and a bowl gouge. And he uses it with the tool raised a little higher, so you're actually pointing down, and then I'll come up and I'll cut out that way. I don't know, we'll see if it works. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it gets a little bouncy up there. I think I knocked it off center.
So you're going past them?
Yeah, I'm going up, down, and I'm actually rubbing this wing over here on top up there, and I'll be cutting right up there. Let's see if I can do another one. It gets a little bouncy up there. I haven't quite figured that out yet. But I'll keep practicing that, but that's one way to start hollowing as well. I can get a little deeper with that technique. That's about as far as I can get. So I'll have to work on that a bit more, but it's kind of interesting to see how that works. But for now, I'm just going to, actually I should have kept that tailstock up. Well, let's just see if we can not do that. And so the interesting thing about a hook tool is the blade that you're cutting with is round, and you're cutting a round object. So there's a lot of geometry that I've been trying to think about how to explain, and it's kind of difficult in a way. But the one thing I know is in this neutral position, I'm not cutting anything. So the tool is that getting on camera? So the tool is what I'll call as pointing at 12 o'clock. So if I turn it to, 12:30, 1 o'clock, then we're going to be starting to cut. And where I'm cutting at that angle is on this bevel way back here, and I'm cutting the bottom of the bowl. If I want to cut the sides of the bowl, I've got to turn the handle way over here to get that edge, because I don't want to cut where I've got an edge straight down, cutting wood coming straight down. I want an edge where I've got a shear cut on an edge coming straight down. So if the wood's coming down this way, I want to cut off this edge here where I'm shearing. Does that make sense? Versus this edge here where I'm blunt, and that's very catchy that way. So in doing a hook tool, the handle moves just in the opposite direction as a bowl gouge. So if I had a bowl gouge, doing the inside of a bowl, where'd my bowl gouge go? I would normally start, and pretending this was a face grain bowl, I'd normally start with my bowl gouge way over here with the bevel pointing in towards where I want to cut. And I would end up with the tool handle back here. With the hook tool, it's just opposite. Where on the bottom, I'm starting here, and I'm going to end up at the edge way out here. Okay? Is the back camera getting that? Okay. So I'm at 12 o'clock, just trying to clean off that nubbin at the bottom. And I may have to drill because it's hard to get, so. Yeah, I'm gonna have to drill. The one thing about this hook tool that's different than Andre Martel's is that it's got a single bevel, and the one Andre has actually has two bevels. So we've got this single bevel here. He's got another bevel on this side, so he's got bevels on both bottom and top. So he can actually skate across the bottom and cut that way. And if you had a ring tool, which I think I brought mine, I don't know if I did or not, but a ring tool is kind of that same way. It's got bevels on both sides. I bought a little ring tool, one of the one-way ring tools. I find it more difficult to use than this hook tool. So, but that just takes practice, I think, to get better at it. There we go. I think I got the wrong size there. That would work. I'm going to see if I can do this by hand. I don't think so. Nope. Yeah, I don't have it, so we'll just kind of guesstimate. What there? Oh, we're pretty close. Okay, so we'll get a bit more access here to hopefully get better camera angle. So you can see where the bevel's rubbing. You got a good camera shot at that? So you can see where I've oriented the handle to a point where I'm shearing. I've got this sort of angled, and I'm shearing off the edge or off the side. If I went flat like that, it's really grabby. So that's why you got to have the handle out here and kind of shear off that corner. So it's 12 o'clock straight in there, and then at 12:30 I start drawing across, pulling that way. And pick up that edge. And then it's a matter of just rotating both this way and a slight rotation this way to get that bevel going. So. It's bouncing at the bottom because my hole is a bit off center. And then this transition, it's same with any end grain as you kind of transition from end grains going straight this way and you're cutting across that way to cutting on this side. That transition plus the heartwood to sapwood transition right in here, it gets a little bouncy. And I think I've put it a little bit off center when I was torquing on it. I'm going to have the handle kind of over here to get that edge engaged at the bottom. So when you get to that point, there's a depth to diameter sort of ratio that you have a problem with because you can't go much more back with the handle this way to get that edge engaged. So you do have some limitations with getting to the bottom of the bowl. If we had a slightly different geometry on this hook, that might not be a problem. Ring tools, maybe not quite as, it's sort of different geometry to work with. So let me turn this up a little bit too. Wheel isn't let me. Yeah, it's a little grabby there. Clear that out. I've got a ridge going in there. That's one thing with doing the inside of bowls. You keep those ridges kind of going down the bottom of the bowl in the center. You use that to ride your bevel. Well, I found with this thing, it's not good to keep those ridges because you run into them and they grab you. So, because you're coming from the back side of them and stuff. So, it's a lot of wood to take off at once. But let me. Yeah. So we've got the bottom of the drill hole. We're down to that depth. And so I'll just try and clean up the sides. And the depth down there is about maybe a 1/4 inch, but it's pretty thick up here. It's not too bad. Try and get that bottom a little bit. That lump right there. That's pretty good surface in there. Okay, so that's the hook tool, and that's it's really quite effective at getting the interior of these end grain vessels cleared out. The other tool that I will use next is a teardrop scraper. The other thing I forgot to mention, the bar for this thing, this is a prototype that I'm getting made. It's just a straight bar, 5/16 opening. The hook tool actually has a 7mm shank, which is just over 1/4 inch, so it's kind of an unfortunate Canadian thing. They use metric, but 2 set screws, so this bar will be coming out the end of the month or 3rd week of this month. Along with this bar, I'll be selling this bar as well, which is very similar to the Sorby RS2000 something, which is half round and flat on one side. I sell these teardrop scrapers. These are T1 high-speed steel, and they go in with a screw, 10x32 screw, which is actually the same screw the Sorby tool uses. So if you do have that Sorby tool, you can use all their attachments on this tool as well. So, and that's how I kind of decided I needed this bar, because I did it in a different handle and I wanted it a bit longer, and I wanted it, with this nice nickel finish on it. So I'm getting these made, the bars. The cutters I sell currently, T1 high speeds. T1 is used in planer blades. So it's used to that high impact and wear resistance. So I get these made locally as well. I get the material from a planer manufacturer and get those made. So I use this to shear scrape when it's on the half round side. It allows me to set the angle so I can shear scrape if I want a fairly stiff angle and scrape quite heavily, or if I want to shear scrape quite a bit more. The other nice thing about this tool is if I want to cut with it, then I flip the blade over and set the bar this way. Now I've got a bit of torque resistance with the flat bar. So now I can cut, I'll do a little bit at the bottom here. So I can cut that bottom down there where I've got that last little drill mark. And just get down to that, the middle mountain down there, and just take him away. I'm actually gotta change these out for safety glasses. It's just a bit easier. So that's how you dual use of this toolbar, is that you're able to cut on the bottom and get some torque resistance, or you can turn the tool over, and which I'm going to do, and shear scrape a little bit. And that's what I like about having the slot in the cutter. You don't have to take the screw all the way out and all the way back in. So again, these the bars will be available in May, end of May, the third week, somewhere in there. Local fab shop in the area is making them, so it's nice to buy local. Still a little high for the. I gotta get some clearance there. Okay, so we get at the bottom there. What do we got? How much time is that? 5 minutes left? 3 minutes? Okay, we got to finish in 3 minutes. So that's the inside done. Of course, I would do a bit of sanding in there just to get it, not a whole lot, but we'll let this dry and see what happens. But we'll take, I might take an extra 5 minutes to finish the outside. Oops. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong handle. Do I need to refine that? Yeah, I need to tuck that in a bit more. Okay.
That being wet like it is, would you have taken it this far down? Would you let it be a little thicker and let it dry up a little bit and finish?
We could do either way. Like I'll take this one all the way down and just let it warp. Hopefully it doesn't crack, but otherwise I would leave it a bit thicker. It's probably less than 1/4 inch at the rim, and about the same right here. It gets thicker down here. So with this one, and what I got to practice more of is using the light to get some translucency to really cut really thin. So I've been lucky so far with those bowls. They, the maple one didn't crack at all. The cracks in the ash one that's on the far right, at the back, the cracks were already there in the log before I started turning. They didn't open up, so I've been lucky with that so far. I haven't done enough of these to have a good sample to see what's gonna fail and what's not. So, so I got it just the same style of bowl gouge, just a sharp one, fresh one. We'll tuck this end in a little bit more because I am thick down at the bottom here. The bowl ends right about here, and so I'll thin this out in here. And I'll try and retrue this a bit maybe. So again, the bevel pointing in the direction I want to cut. This is an interesting cut. I do this when I'm trying to follow a nice curve on the outside. Instead of turning the bevel this way, I'll actually rub the side wing and I'll go along this way. So it's supported on that wing. I can feel the bevel hit. And you just take a nice cut. I'm cutting right with that top corner right there. Takes a little bit of practice and tool control, but allows me to kind of turn a little easier. And of course you don't want to run your tip into that stuff. You get a nice big bite of wood. So you stop short of your goal. And I've actually been looking at different bowl gouge flutes. What size is this? It'll fit in there. No, it won't fit in there. The other interesting thing I saw in that Andre Martel video is when he does a demo to lampshade, which is why I call that a lampshade. On the outside, he'll do the hook tool on the inside and leave it thick, and then turn the outside to translucent. And he likens the turning the outside, because this is spindle orientation, to using the skew. So he has a very tall fluted, I don't know if this is the right angle, but he uses this edge as a flute, as a skew, where it's kind of pointed and it's skewing along there. Let's see if we can make it happen. So I'm actually using this edge as a skew, and I get a really nice cut. So right on that bevel, where this bevel is kind of flat like the edge of a skew. So I've been experimenting with a different grind to try and make that happen. This is almost a 40-40 grind, but it's around 35 degrees. So it's more, I don't know, it's not obtuse. What's the other one? Acute. More acute like a skew would be. But I'm not really using that angle too much except for the wing, so I'm not really too concerned about the nose angle. But I can use the nose to get down in here and take some of that stuff away. So to use it like a skew, he kind of drops the handle or raises the handle to get that skew action. We're getting there. I need to do a couple more. Bear with me. Tell me if I'm running too far over. decisions. Do we put a foot on it? Do we should put a foot? Okay. This is going to kind of break off, but you'll get the idea. There you go. All right. So I would have liked to probably clean up this bark a bit more on the top side and maybe narrow the band a bit, not quite as wide as this, but there you go. Come take a look at the tools. Come take a look at the bowl. You have any questions, let me know. Thanks very much for having me. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. Oh, yeah. Everybody say hi.